General Motors was a unique challenge because, you know, people say it all the time, but the hardest VFX shot is always trying to recreate a human face. You know, everyone has a reference point for what a face should look like, so everyone can tell if it's off. General Motors is really good in a lot of spots, but it doesn't take much for the effect to mess up. But yet, it's still good most of the time.
I was so lost on General Motors. I knew that General Motors could be a really fun bit character. I just kind of couldn't figure out what the bit was, what his deal was, and once we realized we were going to have to go to a micro crew, we just asked Jack to do some voices, kind of do a little audition, and he sent in like 30.
The character of Motors that you hear now is not how it started. No, I think went through some variations of things. I remember sending voice takes to y'all.
I get 5% off every gas purchase, and you're welcome to use it. I wouldn't mind. Listen, I'm glad to see you guys. Oh my God, what are you doing?
And that was like our favorite one. It was just so funny. He could just ramble in that voice on and on and on, and it just didn't stop getting funny to me.
That's not it at all. Shit, is it this one? Nope, that's not it either. Use code Blue Apron. General Motors at checkout for 15% off or more. Geico.
Using artificial intelligence to create a face. That's something that's fairly new, and we're seeing a lot more of it every day. But, you know, I felt like I was diving headfirst into technology kind of without a textbook. You know, figuring out, well, what does this look like on the indie level? You know, because it's not a deep fake. Not quite. But it's similar. You know, it's kind of the independent level equivalent of a deep fake.
Yeah, I think it was something I was kind of like unsure about when it was mentioned, because that was an early on choice, was like, we're going to, and I was like, I think that's cool, and I think it's probably better than like the sort of like old man mask we have. Like, I think with a lot of the CGI, I was like, I just don't have a like reference point because it was new territory. I just didn't really get to see it in action, but then you showed me some test footage, and I was immediately like convinced, because you still get that expression, like the expressions that Jack makes as General Motors on his face are, you know, still there, and of course the voice fits with the face, I think, and it just is really good. I mean, I think besides a few minor hiccups like an episode, like it all stays together really well.
The actual process is really all about style transfer technology. It's using the program EBSynth to take a keyframe and apply it to a whole set of frames. You know, and that's all that piece of software does. But what matters is how you generate the keyframe. And it's actually a pretty simple process. Most people are probably familiar with FaceApp, and that's the program I use to generate the face. It's just a matter of taking that keyframe and letting EBSynth turn it into a video. And I know that FaceApp actually has capabilities to generate video now too, but there were a lot of limitations with those features by the time of production. And even now, there's still limitations with the way that works. So being able to use it to just create the keyframe and then using EBSynth to generate the whole video was kind of the best way to go.
I think I was at one point trying to push, you are, you know, Fartham and Quigley, and I'll be everybody else. Like, I was like, it'll be fun. Like, it was great. It was great, because I love being a wacky little character actor, and so it was awesome. It was fun bouncing around between different people and trying out different characters that, you know, I'd kind of been stewing on, trying out different impressions, and it was, oh my gosh, dream come true. Dream come true. Everybody wants that job, you know? I mean, everybody wants to be like the person that does all the different ones, and I was very thankful and grateful for y'all for letting me do it. That was the one area I felt like I could really contribute, so I was grateful to be able to contribute it.
I think he does the range. I think the battery guy is different from the guy who opens the door to have the, like, you know, poll done by Fartham, and it's different than the Cat in the Hat, and it's different from Dr. Phil. You know, do shapeshifters walk among us? Perhaps. I just realized I said among us. But L4 is Jack. But I honestly didn't. Sometimes forgot that, because it doesn't sound like Jack to me. It sounds like L4, and I feel the same way with like General Motors. Like, it is Jack, but like watching it, I'm like, that's General Motors. I think like he was perfect for those roles. I think he gave it his all on those. It's, yeah, I mean, I completely fell for the illusion when I just kind of sat down and watched it. Like, whenever, like, both receiving test footage and watching the final product, I just, like, you know, sat down and watched and just kind of immersed myself, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't really feel shoddy to me. This doesn't feel like... This feels like well-made and crafted, using what you got to make something really good.
And that's what I think, you know, for me personally, like, making a decision to not be a writer, I wanted to find what my role was in this group. I mean, you and Noah had worked together previously on different projects, and so it was my first time trying to figure out where I stood in the midst of y'all, and it was great. It was figuring out, you know, everybody's vibe and how we each led different, you know, aspects, and then put that into a time of great stress as well. Like, I am still continuously amazed at all the work that we put in and the product that we got out. And I had never even personally worked on a project this big. So I think there was a lot of times I questioned my own skills, and the one thing I knew I could bring was my improv background and my acting background. And I think that did shine through with Motors and the different other various characters.
Something I'm really proud of is that, you know, when you watch Jack's performance, you know, even the original footage, you know, you hear this really strong voice, this voice with a whole lot of character. He's expressing with a whole lot of character, but Jack's face is still Jack's face. And I think when you watch the original footage, you can tell that, like, you know, the voice that I'm hearing belongs to a different face, you know, and like, as janky as the final effect is sometimes, I think I've gotten to the point where it feels a lot more natural to watch General Motors in its final form than it is to watch the original footage now.
I was just kind of across the board impressed with what you did, considering you started learning that kind of thing for this project. And that's just the stuff that you do that impresses me, that I, quite frankly, don't want to do. And the way that you kind of attacked that, I kind of just figured, you know, if I can't throw it together, I'm not going to tell him how to do it. So I don't know. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and you know, visually it was just fun seeing, like, oh, this is how the ship looks. This is how a establishing shot looks. Like, you really, just that you really kind of, like, I don't know. It was just a very impressive how you went, even, you know, we're going to need just this little moment. We're going to need this little moment. And you still pulled all those off.
I think sometimes it is distracting when the effect doesn't quite hold up, but I think as a whole, you know, it creates this whole character that didn't exist before. It allows an actor who is doing all these guest roles in the series to now take on a new appearance, you know, and kind of get by unseen for most of the time. And so I think just as an opportunity to create a digital actor, I think I'm really excited by the possibilities, and I think it was really effective the way it was used in Starboys.
I think it just gives them a different look, you know? I think that's really all it is. I think it just gives, I think Jack makes a bunch of really funny faces with Motors, and I think they just had a different kind of funny on this kind of like bulldog cheek dude.
It helps the character, I think, tremendously.